It's time for the big show with Andy Gallo and Country Jim.
Well, welcome to another podcast, and we have our guest, Ralph Cantu. Ralph, glad to have you with us, man.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And Ralph's got a production company and has produced and just a whole bunch of video, and I guess early days, maybe some film, maybe?
Oh, yeah, we started out with 8mm film.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, back in the 60s.
Wow.
Started doing rock and roll. During the British invasion, we did like Dave Clark 5, Lovin' Spoonful. And the Beatles, we couldn't get too close, but we shot them to the window up in the hotel.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
And then from there, like Sonny and Cher, I went into Texas music after that. And I started doing a little bit of rock and roll and recorded some groups for the labels and so forth. And then went into, we did a little bit of hip hop, but I just couldn't get to tie in good with hip hop.
You just couldn't hip when you needed to hop is what the problem was there, wasn't it?
So then I went, when I went Tejano, did Mexican and Tejano. And Tejano was a local artist here.
Right, yeah.
And
Who were some of those artists?
we did Selena, I did Mafia, I did Little Joe.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All the big legends. Back then, they were small legends.
Right.
But I knew they were going to be big in one
Yeah,
time.
oh, absolutely.
And then we went international, and I brought stars in from Mexico, Mexico City. We brought in Yuri. We brought in Emmanuel, Vicente Fernandez. We did a bunch of big artists. And it got so big that we went to the Astrodome. And it didn't fill to the top, but we were filled halfway up there, by 3/4. So that was pretty good.
Right.
Yes.
And then after that, I finished up Tejano. And in '88, we went country. Yeah. And I started working at Channel 39 in the 70s, in 1970, and where we were doing video for the shows and locally at the station. But the station was nice to let us use the cameras to go and get groups for the stations and so forth. So we did that for a couple of years, and then Channel 2 KPRC offered me a deal with one of their cameras. It was like a $135,000 camera. It says, I'll let you have it for $4,000.
Oh, that's good.
And so I said, okay. So I bought me a Ikigami 79, which was the cream of the crop back then. And I used that to shoot a lot of the videos that you've seen from the past.
Wow.
Now, Ralph, clue me in. What were you doing with the videos? Were you putting them? These performances, you were recording them, but you were not involved in the production of the concerts, or?
We did our own concert. See, I did stuff for the station and I did stuff for me. Okay, and that's why people never heard of me because it might be a conflict of interest. So I was just low profile.
Yeah.
Kind of like Buddy, I was behind the camera.
Yes.
All the time, and we did a big concert with Little Joe back then. And
then what did you do with that concert? You recorded it, and then what did you do?
It was a
with
1 hour special for KPRC on Channel 2.
Wow, that's great.
And they liked it, so they said, "Can you do us another one?" I said, "Yeah." So we went and did La Mafia special and put that on KPRC. And on 39, I was just building little insert, not insert, but it was an hour show. So we put in like 30 minutes of Texas version, and then 30 minutes of international version. So the international was a 2-inch tape, which is really heavy. They would send us a tape from Mexico, and we would transfer them here to put them on TV. And we were on the weekend.
What year would that have been?
I started that in '70.
Okay.
All the way till about I want to say 75, 78. Okay.
Now you also y'all videotaped, your production company videotaped the Gillies Place, which was Mickey Gillies' show that aired locally as well before
Yes, it was
before
a-
Mickey Gilley was urban cowboy Mickey Gilley.
Right, that was for the movie. Yeah, we had a show called, I think it was called Mickey's Place, and once in a while we'd go to the club to record, and we would go through the back door on the, actually it was a side door by the studio, and brought our cables in, and it set cameras at various points, and that's where we record. In fact, you'll see one of the recordings on Facebook with Johnny Lee.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the videos I did. That I was in charge of the video. 'Cause in production for television, there's audio, there's video, and then there's videotape, and there's editing, and there's different departments that does the whole thing.
Right.
So I was mainly in the video because
We would just go out and shoot it and then turn it over to editing to finish it up, I guess.
right.
Right.
They button it up. They
Yeah.
take all the errors out. They put the open and close to the show, and the ratings went up. Once we started doing that, the ratings went up. And now here's a story about Mickey Gilley that a lot of people really haven't heard, but and I'm sure a lot of people won't believe it. But John Travolta and his crew, the producers, were in town. They were going to do it like a Saturday Night Fever show. And so they went to this club down there on Montrose, and it turned out to be a gay club. And they said, well, it is what we want, but it's not exactly the crowd we want to highlight. Because they want to highlight the disco scene.
Sure.
After they did Saturday Night Fever. And so supposedly they were just thinking about it, and they saw Mickey Gilley's show on 39. And so they decided, well, instead of rock and roll, why don't we do country? Urban, upbeat, in other words. And so they looked into that, and before long, they were Gilley's doing Urban Cowboy.
Wow.
Now, what happened after that, I kind of dropped off the picture after that because I tried to get in there, and it was maddening. I mean, it was cars parked everywhere, people everywhere. So I said, well, but we continued doing the show, and I did record there a couple of shows. I think I did Johnny Rodriguez, and we did the bull ride, everything inside the hat shop and all that. Yeah. And that's where I met Leon Beck. He had a little office in the back, and I went and talked to Sherwood and says, I have no problem with it. Well, talk to Leon. He's my, my in-between guy. He says, okay. So I met with Leon and says, you can do this, and you film this and film that. And so we went in there with one camera, and at that time I was putting up Channel 45 on the air. Because the show that we were doing on Channel 39 got canceled, not canceled, but they got discontinued for money purposes.
Sure.
Because it was a public service show.
Yeah.
So everything was free.
Oh, yeah.
And, so when they canceled it, they asked me what happened. I said, well, they canceled the show. Said, why don't we put up our own show? I said, well, we're going to need our own station. He says, can you help me with that? I said, well, the thing is, I got the license. I got the FCC first class license, so I can get the permit, but I don't have the money. He said, well, how much money is it going to take? It's going to take at least $500,000, maybe $1 million. He said, well, I can get the money. He said, well, I can get sponsors. And I was talking to my doctor, taking my kid for a cold, and he says, okay. So, so we started looking for a place to have the TV show. And I said, look, I just want to be able to air my shows. I said, yeah, no problem. So we found a place up on Kirby, and we brought in, it was just three of us at that time. It was me, Gaston, and Daniel Trevino. Daniel Trevino became the general manager, but he was managing a lot of pharmacy stores back then. So I had that Channel 2 camera and the tape deck, and said, well, let's go. We'll do commercials. So we went out there, and on the first round of commercial, we did over $200,000.
Oh, wow.
And he said, you know what? This market is wild. I think we can do good, and we can put our own station, and you can air all your shows here.
Right.
This is okay. So
That became Channel 45?
that became Channel 45.
Wow.
And there was nice people over there in Stafford that said, well, we got a 500-foot antenna. You guys can borrow that and put your antenna up there. So we went low power and put that station up on the air. And they offered me work, like, hey, you can be production manager or whatever you want to do. I said, no, I got my family at 39. I'm fine.
Right.
So, okay. So I helped them put them up, and we brought in the general manager from L.A. and took over the station. And that all goes with TV work that I've done in the past. And then Telemundo asked me, well, you help Univision. Can you help me put up a station?
Right. And 45 was Univision, is that correct?
Yes,
that's what I was
45
thinking.
was
Okay.
Univision.
Yeah, okay.
And I still work with them in a way.
Sure.
In fact, I work with all the stations. But Telemundo then wanted to set up shop here. 'Cause they were out of Miami dash, I want to say Cuba, but they were
okay.
originally down there, Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So anyway, I set up, got a hold of a friend of mine named Bill Young. He had a studio there on Stony Brook, and he says, "Well, Ralph, he used to do a lot of voiceovers, and he says, I'm going to be moving to another location. And I know you're looking for a place for Channel 47 at that time. I said, you can have this place." So I introduced that place to them, and they liked it, and that's where Channel 47
Wow.
came about.
So you were very instrumental in a lot of the a lot of TV stations that came about in
TV
Houston.
station, and
Yeah.
Gallo was the other one.
Yeah.
But they were like in the woodlands, and says, well, I don't want to travel that far. That's kind of far to go. But I'll do as much as I can from here. And they took off. I don't know if they're still on their offices. in the
Yeah, I don't know
woodlands.
either. Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, that was TV, and with that experience and everything that I've had, we used to do remotes at 39. I would I'd do the video for the Houston Wrestling,
Oh, yeah.
the Nikki Gilly show.
Now, like he said, he said wrestling,
Yeah.
not wrestling, but wrestling. That's what it was called.
It was called Houston Wrestling.
There's no
The slang part,
Yeah.
you know.
And he was,
there's no A in the word.
There is no A in
It's
the word.
wrestling.
That's
but
wrestling.
No,
yeah,
it's wrestling. Wrestling.
that's how they called it. That's how I called it.
Yeah.
And Mattress Mac was one of our
Oh yeah,
sponsors back there.
we did a podcast not long ago talking about TV shows. I think we talked about that before we started the podcast here. And wrestling was part of that Houston era. Paul Bosch, I believe it was
Paul
the
Bosch, Peter,
the guy there,
Barclays,
you know, that introduced Houston wrestling. But anyway, that was pretty cool.
A lot
Okay.
of big wrestlers, Andre the Giant. And stuff.
Oh, yeah.
a lot of
All the Neil Moscres, what was
Bill
his name?
Musgrove,
Yeah, or something like that.
Ontario.
Yeah.
But from there, I branched off to the music, and we brought in some artists from Mexico. We tried that, and then when I went country, it was in '88. We started there in Pasadena, a little place called the Rusty Bucket. That was one of our first little gigs, and I think Buddy remembers Sally. I think was it that used to run the place.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's what we did the video for Kelly Shapa.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
There's a
it was-
picture of Kelly right there somewhere.
Kelly
I got it.
Shapa at Amarillo by Morning, and
Oh, yeah.
for me was very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, hey, let's do something with Kelly.
Yeah.
And Kelly loved it.
What a great guy too,
he
man.
was.
Yeah, I mean, something
I
else.
knew him well. Just for our listeners, we have another person in the room. We have a cameraman, Buddy Hilliard, and so when you hear a reference every now and then to Buddy, that's Buddy. He's got the camera on me right now, so that's good.
Did you put your pancake on?
I'm grinning.
Well, Buddy's been very instrumental with me in the
Yes.
show because he knows everybody. He knows all the groups, all the musicians.
That's why I have him on here because
go.
he knows everybody. You know.
But I'm really interested in this next part of your journey because talk about okay, you were doing all this for 39 and TV stations, but then you started with your own production company and recording different events and artists. And tell us about then In fact, that's still available, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about what that is.
happened now? I, I was doing these videos for the various artists because the Houston market didn't have a place for locals. Nashville was hot with CMT and all that, and since I was an investor for Gaylord Broadcasting, which owned the CMT and the Gaylord Productions,
Wow.
they helped me out a lot, and so I had some meetings in Nashville, and believe it or not, it was the only Hispanic doing country, and I took country on my own because the station. We only did so much for the station. Then if you want to do your own, and it's harder when you do your own because you got to get your own camera, your own microphones, your lights, and then you got to call people and set up things. But when the show was on the air, I made a lot of friends in the broadcast. I mean, all the stations and one person in particular, John Olson, he had a satellite dish on a trailer. And we were airing the Houston Rockets, and one time our antenna, big antenna, where we pick up the signal, was under maintenance, and it wasn't really reliable. It would slip a little bit. So I called John and says, "Hey, can you do a backup on this feed? We got a Rockets game tonight, and our antenna kind of shifts a little bit. We need something more solid." And so he brought his trailer. And a dish mounted on a trailer, and he pointed up to the satellite and got the feed, and and we used his feed and ours was a backup, and so we got to talking, and I says, "Ralph, why don't you talk to your general manager?" And this is at Channel 39, and see if I can do more for your station. Is that you guys are connected with the Independent News Network, which is a network out of New York, and you get all your news feeds from New York, and they input it in here locally in our newscast. We also had news, we had production and newscast. And I said, well, let me talk with them. So I had a meeting with the general manager. It says, look, I have a friend named John Olson. He was kind enough to come out to help us with a backup on, actually it turned out to be the primary feed for the Houston Rockets. And he says he can input, in other words, our reporters go out and collect stories, and we can ship them to New York, and then New York can ship us their stories here, and we can have like a national show,
Right.
instead of just local. And he liked the idea, and so they hired John Olson.
Right.
And with that, he made enough money to develop the Houston Teleport, which is out there by Stafford, by Senior Road up in that area. And he had a bunch of dishes he put up there, and he was the main teleport for all the happenings in Houston for TV.
Wow.
That's great. Did you get any bird dog money out of that?
No, but I got a lot of favors. He says, Ralph, your country show, I can bring it over to me. I shoot it to New York, and Andrew in New York can shoot it to Burbank, and we can air it on a national
Oh, wow.
network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, really? He said, yeah. He says, okay. And so I was doing professor work at one of the universities here in Houston for trade of the studio, so I can edit the shows. So they asked me if you can do like one hour a week. That's come in here because you're in broadcasting, and just give us your experience and what you know in broadcasting to our class. We'll let you use the editing base. It's okay, I can do that. So I went in there and did 1 hour instructional of broadcast, and they gave me. So I was putting these shows together on the weekend, and during my lunch break, which you gave me about an hour lunch.
Yeah.
I'd stop on McDonald's on my way to the teleport to drop the tape off.
Right.
And I gave it to John Olson, and he would uplink it over to Andrew, who had the network. It was called Channel America. And then he would send it over to the broadcast, which is up in Burbank, California. So,
Wow.
And then David Guzzi, which is another friend of mine, had the Armed Forces Network. And it's Ralph. I says, it won't cost you anything. Just give me a copy. In fact, I can take it off the satellite, and I can have you all over the world at every military establishment. I said,
Wow.
"Really?" So this thing was going all over the world.
Wow.
And it was going all
So
over
that was Armed Forces Network that it went
Forces
on?
Network. Yep. It was going to the Marines, the Navy, the Army, all. And it says, and it was prime time. It was at 8:00 and 8:00 p.m. on Mondays.
Hey, Ralph, after we get done, I want to talk to you about what you can do for the big show.
Well, I mean, I can.
That's just weak, feeble humor. But talk to me about.
Not really. No, we're only one. No.
Now, I got one little story more to tell you. And and I'm real proud of this little story because there was a girl in Canada working with her dad with a wood chopper, and they were chopping wood, and her name was Shania Twain.
Ah,
And
Oh, yeah.
Mercury Records told me, man,
name dropper.
if you can help me with her, that'd be awesome. I said, well, I can put her on our show and doing some interviews and stuff like that. And says, yeah, but I can't go up there. You have to bring her here. So they brought her here, and they brought it over to the Midnight Rodeo on Holsworth.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's called the Big Texas now. I'm not sure. That's right. But anyway, they did a triple play, which is Toby Keith, Shania Twain, and John Brennan. John Brennan he was not too interested in
That was a Mercury deal, wasn't it?
a Mercury deal,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I thought. I remember seeing that come out. See, I was in radio, and that came out in radio. It was called a triple play,
triple
and
play.
we got that promotional package. Yeah.
The only people there that I can remember video was me, His Own Country, and CMT. But CMT and I were kind of partners because I was an investor.
I got you.
And I got invested in there to the station. And I invested part of my paycheck to help Gaylord Broadcasting. They were the owners. So I got a lot of help from them. And I was going to the stockholders meeting in Nashville, and they said, we can get you whatever artist you want. And talking about any artist, we got all of the artists. I mean, all of them. And the new starter-ups like Shania Twain and Garth Brooks and some of the new ones that were coming up, and some of the old ones like Juice Newton and of course all in Nashville, Alan Jackson and Mal Tillis. And, But anyway, with this girl, we did an interview, and then we put her on our national show, and she got signed up immediately in Nashville and became big. And she's worth over $400 million, but it started here.
Yeah.
So
That's a great story.
So what you guys are doing, you may be starting something big here.
By golly, we ought to do that, shouldn't we? Yeah.
We started off kind of slow and then gradually tapered off.
That's what we do.
Yes. That's a joke too. But tell me about this company that you see, Anita Campbell that we've had, Glenn's cousin. We've had her on the show, and she contacted me several years ago. You may remember what year it was. Wanted me to come be on a package show down in Pasadena somewhere, and it turned out you tried to make me famous. Because you recorded me and you put some of those videos up on your, what do you call it, Texas Own Country or?
Houston's Own Country.
Houston Own Country.
Now, I have Texas music show.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's different. That includes country and includes other formats like blues and stuff.
Tell us about Houston Own Country. Yeah, that's right. Houston's Own Country. Tell us about that. You put that out on video, and how can that be accessed?
It's still up on Facebook, but that idea came from Leon Beck. Actually, he said, "Ralph, you do a reunion, and we'll do it at the Lone Star Club." And I think Buddy's the one that suggested get Anita Campbell to help you with it because she knows everybody.
Yeah.
And so we got Anita Campbell to actually coordinate the whole show with the groups because I didn't know them. And then Buddy knew some of the groups, invited like the Coleman Brothers and stuff like that. And I think On that one, you were on the next one, which is at the Blue Star. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That was big.
Yeah.
And that's what started the next one, and we did that one at Blue Collar in Pasadena.
Yes.
And you was it the All Stars and the All
That's
Stars?
right, the All Stars. Animal
It was
Turner.
good. And believe it or not, Nashville watched that show, and they said the best guys there was your band.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? I said, wow. because-
That's why they call them the All Stars, right?
It was good. I said, well, and we brought a couple of guys from Nashville. I think Shane Owens was from Nashville.
That's right.
And the Hillbilly Vegas.
So are you still doing Houston's Own Country?
We're still doing it. We're on cable, on Comcast. We're on Uverse. Basically just Houston.
Yes.
Back in the 90s, we were worldwide.
Yes.
But we're not doing it anymore. Takes a lot of work, and then there's no money. I did it for the fun of it because I was working for the station. I had a good check coming in. I didn't need money. I just went and did it.
Right.
And but now I've been retired from the station, and I still work with the networks. In fact, I'm doing Dynamos here on the 29th. I did Houston Astros for many years. And I did the Rockets for many years. And I've done a lot of the college games, Rice and UAs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I've been all over.
I heard you say something about the Legends. Is that
The Legends. Well, I want to do a country version of the Legends and the Tejano, because Tejano died when Selena died, so they went off the air basically.
Yeah.
So I'm now I feel well. They asked me if I can help and bring it up. I said, yeah, I think we can do something because I'm getting lazy to get out there and record anymore. You know, I just enjoy being home. But if it's a good cause, I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to do the country legends, you better hurry because
we're losing people.
they're going away real quick. You know.
Oh, we got.
I'm still here though. I'm
I
still
know.
here.
Yeah, and you're a legend
Man, you're
in your own mind, but that's another story at nine.
That
Just
is,
joking.
yeah.
we're happy we got Supernova. That was really
Oh
good.
yes.
And we got a couple others. Man, I can't remember all of them.
Mickey Gilley. I mean, you did.
Mickey Gilley for many years. We did the show. In fact, we went to Branson, me and a friend of mine, to go visit him. My wife went with us, and he offered us his studio there. He said, man, Ralph, you come out here, bring your camera, you can have shows. I'll bring you any artist you want.
Wow.
But the trip to Manson, I said, wow.
Yeah.
You got to travel with your cameras and all that. You have
Yeah.
to drive. The good look, pretty good long drive. But
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I used to go to Branson about every year. It's where seniors go to party.
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah.
Drink a lot of Coca-Cola.
Ralph, I knew this was something I wanted for a long time to have you on here, but I really did not realize how great it was going to be. I just
Well,
love.
I'm behind the scenes. So you don't
That-
see me or hear me.
Well, see, here's the funny thing. When we were talking to Ralph before we started the podcast, he's going, I don't know why you want me. This is why we want you,
Yes.
man, because look at the great stories that you have
Yeah,
told us and pass those on to people out there that are listening. That is just some
It's been
fantastic stuff there.
A wonderful interview, Ralph. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you for
way
the
up here to
invite.
do it.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on the show. Appreciate it a
thank
whole
you.
bunch. Folks, we will see y'all on another one.
Adios. Folks, you can listen to The Big Show on all major podcasting platforms, such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and so many more.
And just remember, you can support the podcast by following us and hitting the link below.